Well, hello and welcome to well, exactly what it says on the title. The quickest and easiest way to make the carrot and video bit, carrot and parsnip bed that you can see in front of you. Very simple, very quick, very easy. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, as you can see, but it's entirely effective and almost free. Okay, one of the very rare occasions you'll see me on actual video. As you can see, some of the things that you'll need are a crate, and I'll talk about that in a minute, a staple gun, a knife, and some weed-proof membrane. It's as simple as that. Very, very few moving parts required for this build. And as you can see, it's so simple. Right, what I'm doing here now is just starting the process of attaching the weed-proof membrane into the sides of the crate. Now, these crates are made from hardwood, and they're commonly used by landscapers, people like that, big DIY chains, in order to transport things like stone edging, turf occasionally, anything that's very, very heavy. As you can see from all the metal bands on it, it's very, very sturdily built, which means it can more than capably handle the weight of soil. I have a local landscaping firm that drops me off huge quantities of timber and all sorts of things in return for a few beers, because otherwise they'd have to pay to recycle it. They'd have to take it to a waste management station and pay to recycle it, which of course is not good for them, takes them time and money, and I benefit from it. Now, these particular crates are a fraction over a metre wide, 1 metre 3 centimetres wide by 90 centimetres long, and they're about 75 centimetres deep, which makes them absolutely perfect for root crops like parsnips and carrots. Quite deep. I mean, you're not going to get show parsnips out of this, because of course show parsnips can go down well in excess of a metre. These are only about 75 centimetres. But the benefits of these ones are they're free, or at very low cost. They're deep enough for most household uses, and because they're made of hardwood, in this case it's green oak, and very well constructed, very strongly banded together, these will last years and years and years and years. There's no reason why you'd need to. You could, if you wanted to, apply more battening to the inside, but it's completely unnecessary. I mean, it's more than capable of supporting that at that moment in time. Yeah, you'll see that I've got there apart from the weed-proof membrane, which I deliberately used 1 metre wide stuff, simply because it means it's really easy. You just lay it in, staple it down, and move on. You can use a perfectly normal hand stapler. I, being the gadget man I am, have an electric one, and it makes the process a lot quicker, and it doesn't hurt your hand so much. So I use my electric one. You'll see how very quickly in a minute how I can actually staple with the electric one, but there's absolutely no need to go out and spend money on one of these. I just happen to have it, and it made my life easier. And all you're doing is effectively doing a T shape, crossing over the weed-proof membrane, and attaching it across all stands. It really is as simple as that. Now, that particular membrane I bought 1 metre by 50 metres for, I think it was about 20 quid. Wasn't expensive, and I've used about, what was that, a metre, so 2.5, 5 metres, so a tenth of that. So I've spent about £2 on weed-proof membrane, and that's all. Yeah, and as you can see, this is done in real time. So that at this stage here is now finished. All I'm doing at the moment is going around and tidying, so to speak. So what I'm doing is I'm attaching the weed-proof not just to the top batten of that crate. I'm attaching it in through the top as well, and you'll see in a moment I'll tidy the sides as well. Yeah, was that 4 minutes? to go from nothing to a seedbed. Obviously, you'd have to allow a little bit of time to barrow some compost into it, but that literally is all it takes. Total cost, like I say, about £2, maybe a little bit more if you count the staples. That's about it. Very, very cost effective, very easy to do, and anybody can do it. One caveat I will make is that those crates are very heavy. So if you're going to be transporting them or moving them around, be careful with your back. Ideally get a second person to help you because they do weigh a lot, because as I said, they are hardwood. You'll notice this isn't my normal style. Normally I do a one hit wonder set piece to camera, but the wind was so dreadful that day, you couldn't hear a word I was saying, even with the mic. It was just absolutely trashing it. So I've actually binned all the audio and done an overlay, done a talkie piece instead, which is not my normal style, but you know, it is what it is, and it was necessary to get the basic concept across. Yeah, I mean, anything from this point onwards is purely your own sort of personal taste, your own opinion on what you'd like and what you don't want to do. What you'll see me doing over the next couple of minutes is fighting with my knife that fell apart as I was attempting to cut the surplus weed-proof membrane off. So please excuse the brief interlude while I'm sat there trying to work out how I'm going to cut this with half a knife and a missing knife blade that I eventually find. Yeah, it took me a couple of minutes, no cost. You know, I will be doing a whole series of these, not just for carrots and parsnips, but for effectively just more easily accessible raised beds. On our site we have a community garden which does a lot of work with the disabled, and I've now got an agreement with the landscaping company that once I've got my fill, which I think I've already got, I've got 6 of these I think, is that we will be using these in exactly this way on the community garden to allow some of the more physically less able individuals that come and garden there to be able to access those beds, those that can't bend and twist quite so much, because they're a good height for sort of the elderly and those that struggle to get down to a raised bed otherwise. Probably I would have said slightly high for those in wheelchairs, but you could always put a ramp alongside it and that would work as well. The other thing I'll be doing, which you won't see on camera, is they do look quite untidy when they're finished, so I'll just be getting some spare timber that I've got and creating caps which I'll attach to the top. So I'll just get some timber, put a 45-degree angle on it and button them up together and just make a nice top arrangement. But I won't do that until after I've filled it, because the last thing I want is to be knocking that around and damaging it, etc. after I've trying to fill it after I've put that on. So I'll put that on afterwards. None of that is required. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could always put some plywood or something around it just to prettify it. It could become a focal point. However, I'm a very practical gardener, not a prettified gardener. And that's it. I'll see you on the next one.